Well, I strung about 100 feet of number 14 single core copper wire THHN around the perimeter of my yard fence and threw it up here through the window. And that appears to be pulling signals in a lot better than before. So that's good. Anyway, I did finally get around to buying myself a shitty Chinesium Variac, so that means I'll be right back. So sorry, I didn't explain myself adequately. The reason we're not messing with these anymore is because I still have a parts radio on the way. I need some pieces out of it to soup these things up how they're supposed to be. I may need the VFO out of it for this thing. I don't know if it's a contact on the wiper or if the capacitor plates are bent, but it's got a spot every so many turns that where the VFO quits working. I haven't torn it apart to look at it yet, but also this the receiver has well, we might as well look in the things, although I've still got them plugged in. That's alright, I won't stick my fingers in. This is the inside of the transmitter, and you can see it kind of, I must be on like 2x zoom on this phone. Hang on a second. Oh, I guess not. I guess I just can't zoom out anymore. Maybe I'm just an idiot. So yeah, the transmitter is mostly solid state, but it's got 3 tubes in it. It's got a 12BY7 driver tube in it, and that drives the main power amplifier tubes. There's a pair of them in parallel inside of this box, and they have a plate voltage of 800 volts. Which is why it says danger high voltage on it and why that great big ass transformer is in there. This is the top of the VFO. It says it's been calibrated on 2015, but by God, it's got some fucking problems. So I don't know what's going on there. But that's fine. I mean, the radio is like 60 years old or something like that, 50 years old, something. So these things have to be expected, I guess. And there's a whole bunch of great big, like, multi-part electrolytic capacitors and shit in there that are going to have to probably be replaced. I can't find my dummy load. I know I've got it in a box here somewhere, so when I figure out where it is, we'll try tuning the finals up and see what happens. But anyway, that's oh, and it's got some Vox controls right here inside of the cover. I'm not exactly sure why they're inside instead of outside, but there you go. And yeah, now I guess we can look inside the receiver there too. Probably ought to be using the boom cover for this shit, but yeah, whatever. Alright, so here's what I was getting to. This is the inside of the receiver. I'm pretty sure it uses exactly the same VFO as the transmitter, and I'm pretty sure that's also the same VFO that's in my TS520 there, which we're also going to have to rebuild. That's the radio I used when I was a kid. The receive section still works, but there's something going on with the transmit section. At least there was when I packed it up, as I recall. So this one still has some of those multi-part capacitors in it, which electrolytics that'll probably have to be replaced, so we'll have to get rid of those sometime. Not nearly as large a power supply as you can see, and there's a relay that switches the thing into standby mode when you transmit, because these things can be operated in transceiver mode. There's a cable that connects them together, and they can operate as one unit, or you can like split them apart and do like dual frequency, split frequency, or even split band actually, although I'm not exactly sure generally why you'd want to do that. It's got 5 sockets for crystals, so if you need more stability than the VFO can provide, and it's selected with this switch here. Now these 2 sockets here that look like tube sockets, They're actually part of these boards. There's a 6 meter and a 2 meter transverter board that go in here, and they're unseparate antenna connectors, which is what those blanks are for. And those are some of the things that are coming in this parts radio, those transverter boards to go in here. And when, see, this receiver does CW sideband, AM, and FM, interestingly enough. And when you switch it, when you switch it to the first 10 meter setting here, you can switch this thing over and get two different frequency ranges on 6 meters and on 2 meters if you've got the transverter boards installed. They convert 6 meters and 2 meters to 10 meters. So it's the 10 meter receiver portion of the radio that actually turns demodulates those signals. So that's kind of interesting. Anyway, the reason we're not messing with this anymore is because the parts radio isn't here yet. So we'll get back into these more, although Retro Challenge month will start before it gets here probably, so I don't know, maybe it'll be like November before we get into this. Yeah, so if you thought those 599s were boat anchors, I present for your amusement the Hallicrafters Model S-40. This is a general coverage AM and CW, i.e. Morse code receiver. You can receive sideband on this thing by dicking with the BFO control, assuming it works like that S38 does, although I haven't edited and posted the video about the S38 yet, so I guess you probably haven't seen that, because it's not done yet. So yeah, this thing, I think it dates from the 40s sometime, probably the late 40s. I think this is a post-war radio, but I wouldn't swear to it. The reason I have this is because I bought that SX28, and I took one look inside of it and panicked. I need to get more of these tube radio restorations underneath my belt before I try to tackle that thing, or I'll just fuck it up. So this is the next step up from that S38. I think it uses 7 tubes, and it's not a big 5 type circuit. So this will be more of a traditional, like pre-Big 5 super heterodyne design, I think. And right off the bat, I've never had this open. I've never tried to power it up or anything. I wanted to get a Variac first. I've had it for some time, but we can see right off that the tuning strings are broken, or maybe they're just off. So we'll have to replace them with something. And I don't know. I don't know anything else. So I guess before we try to power it up, let's look inside and see if there's anything obviously untoward. I have no idea if this thing has a fixed magnet speaker or if it uses a field coil, so that'll be one thing to look for. Anyway, so we don't want to fire it up and fuck the audio output transformer up or anything. So yeah, let me get this thing opened up and we'll look at it. Well, the top just pops right open. Fancy that. I didn't realize there was a hinge back there. I was like, where the fuck are the screws? But yes, sir. That's handy. So yeah, how many tubes do we have in here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, and I'm not sure what that is. That's not a tube though. That'll be a great big multi-part capacitor for power supply filtering, and it has a great big ass transformer, so that leads me to believe that it's probably not a Big 5 design. Here's some IF coils that'll probably need to be aligned, and the great big multi-part tuning capacitor over here. Now somebody, let me see if I can tilt this forward so you can see it here. Somebody has tried to restring this, but they didn't do a very good job. The strings are really loose. It looks like the springs are connected back here, but the strings are real loose, and the springs must not be pulling them tight correctly. But hopefully I can fix it and just reuse that string. I don't know. It doesn't look like that waxed string that you usually see on old radio tuners like that, so I guess this is just some kind of like string that somebody had and put on there, I guess. I don't know. So yeah, there's the top, and this may be a good excuse to whip out the old capacitor, or the old tube tester, and test some of those tubes too before we try to power the thing up. Now, oh yeah, I wanted to see if it had a fucking fixed magnet speaker, if it used a field coil. Shit, forgot what I was doing. The case is a little munged up. It's dented here. I don't know what the deal is with that. Okay, that's a fixed magnet speaker, but one of the wires is broken off of it, so there's something we'll have to fix. That looks like a newer speaker than what the radio would have come with. That's interesting. I wonder if it's a 3.5 ohm speaker like this vintage Hallicrafters radio generally used. I guess we'll have to find out. If it's not, we'll have to do something different, because the impedance of the speaker has to match the audio transformer. Speaking of which, I don't see an audio transformer mounted in this thing anywhere. Surely that big bastard is a power supply transformer, not an audio transformer. I don't know. Maybe it's underneath. Let's take the bottom off and look at it. I'll be right back. Well, boys, we're gonna have to call it quit on this project. If I take these covers off, I'll void the warranty, and that would be a crying shame. So here is a rotten piece of a rubber washer, I think, and you can see, maybe you can see, down here under these screws that hold this tuning capacitor assembly on here are bits of that rubber washer. So I guess this tuning capacitor needs to be electrically isolated from the chassis. So we'll have to redo that somehow. I got the case off. I figured it'd just have a panel in the bottom, and we could get into it without taking the whole fucking case off of the thing, but no, it was all one piece, and the whole thing had to come off. And I figured out how to get around that warranty problem. So I took the warranty card off so it won't get torn up, because that thing's pretty cool that it's still intact. So that means we can claim ignorance when we send this back to Hallicrafters for repair after I fuck it up. Okay, so since the whole case had to come off, I'm gonna have to rig up some way to hold this thing up while I'm working on it. So I'm gonna have to get some blocks or something, and I'll be back in a second. So yeah, this definitely isn't the correct speaker. It's not even the right size. It was only being held in there by one nut, so I went ahead and just took the thing out, because I don't want it flopping around in there and breaking those studs off. And it is an 8 ohm speaker, and I guess whatever size that is, I guess it's probably a 6-inch speaker. No, that's a 5-inch speaker according to this. Well, it must need a 6-inch speaker. Yeah, I'm dumber than shit. 5.5, something like that, for the mounting holes. Very strange, but I'm pretty sure this thing probably takes a 3.5 ohm speaker, and I don't have any 6-inch 3.5 ohm speakers. I've got a 5-inch one here, but I don't have any 3.5-inch ones. So I guess we can use this one for testing, and then I'll have to get one somewhere. I don't know. Alright, boys, here's the underside. I thought I would have everything I would need to do this, but I don't think I do. Let me find a pointerator. So right here, that's going to be that multi-part electrolytic capacitor, and it's not soldered to the, or it's not riveted to the Oh shit, yeah, it is. It's soldered to the. It's soldered to the chassis. So I was gonna take the insides out of that and put a couple of modern electrolytics inside of it to preserve the look. But I guess maybe I'll just cut the leads off and put the electrolytic capacitors down underneath here, and leave the vintage one on there. Hopefully it won't leak everywhere. I don't have any resistors that big, and it really looks like those resistors have gotten pretty hot. Let me see if I can show you here. See, it looks kind of scorchy on this one, and there's actually some wax on this one that I assume has migrated from one of these fucking wax capacitors here. I don't know, we'll have to test those resistors and make sure that they're in spec. This may be a great big power resistor too, I'm not sure. These don't look like 1940s vintage resistors, but they're still pretty old. I wonder if this thing may have been worked on in the 70s, because there are a lot of these fucking bumblebee capacitors in here. Those will be bad. And these great big bumblebees here, those are, I'm pretty sure those are newer than the rest of this, but maybe I'm full of shit. I'm not sure. And all of these bastards covered in wax, these are old wax paper capacitors, and they will definitely be bad. And I'll replace those with modern metal film capacitors, which I've got plenty of in my cabinet thingaroos. But I don't have any resistors this big. I don't know, those are pretty fucking large. The biggest resistors I've got are 1 watt, and I don't have very many different values of them. I've just bought them for shit, for fixing shit, and I always buy a few extras, you know, so I don't know. If these are like, if I need like 5 watt resistors here, I may be able to use a bunch of higher values in parallel or something. I guess we'll see, although for this big bastard, that is a great big power resistor, isn't it? I think it is. But for that big bastard, if it's out of spec, I don't know what we'll do. But I imagine all these capacitors will have to go. There's the audio transformer. It is on the underside. That's fascinating. I'm surprised they didn't put it on top. These are all the trimmer capacitors for the IF coils and all the tuning shit. Those are what we'd use to align the radio. And presumably there's a manual somewhere on how to do that, as well as adjusting the slugs in the top of the IF coils from the top, I think. So yeah, I have half a notion to replace this electrolytic and try the thing anyway, even with these old capacitors in here. So that S-38 worked. The guy that had it before I got it had plugged it in and tried it. That's why I wasn't afraid of trying it without a variac. But this one, as far as I know, has never been plugged in and tried, according to the guy that had it. So I definitely want to bring it up on a variac. But those electrolytics are definitely going to be bad. I'll have to find a schematic and figure out what values I need for that. I've probably got something close enough up there. I'll have to poke around. Now, let me see here. These things that look like dominoes, some of those that you read the value by the colors of the dots, and I can't do that off the top of my head, but some of those are red, and some of them, there are some over here are kind of yellowish white. Some of those are microcapacitors, and some of those are going to be ceramic capacitors. The ceramic capacitors will be the smaller value ones, and the microcapacitors will be the larger value ones. And sometimes those silver microcapacitors go bad too, I think. But I don't want to replace them unless we have to, because mica capacitors are really expensive. The ceramic ones should be fine. Hopefully most of the resistors are fine. But we do want to check them to make sure they're still within tolerances. So, I don't know, man. Let me find a schematic, and then we'll have to install some new electrolytics in here. I guess maybe the best way to do that's to put a terminal strip in there or something. I can probably cut one of these long ones and bolt it in there somewhere, and we can rebuild the electrolytics on it instead of putting them inside of that can. I don't know. I mean, we might be able to get that thing out of there. Ah, fuck. That thing's in there pretty good. I'll fart around here a little and see. I'm going to try to find a schematic and look at it for a little bit too. So that's probably all we'll do with this thing today. I'm going to play some Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead before bedtime. But this is pretty exciting. Unfortunately, I'm afraid to try to bring the thing up. We don't want to damage the machine by having bad filter capacitors. And I'm getting lazy, so I'll see you next time. Alright, thanks for joining me. Have a lovely evening.